Assalamu alaikum rahmatullah. Think about the relationships between the scales, that is Celsius, Fahrenheit and Kelvin scale. This is a bottom basic of the chapter of effects of heat on matters, as because it has some sort of mathematical explanation, and also we need to understand accurately what is heat and why these relationships will work, because we need to know that the unit of temperature is being expressed as Kelvin, but we know we do have other scales like Celsius and Fahrenheit, and you can see these figures might be given on your books, and there are some 2 points. Before going to explain, I need to say something about absolute zero temperature. What is it? We can imagine the maximum temperature even like more than, we can think about also 54 or 55,000 degrees Celsius, but how much we can go in case of lowest temperature, and it has a limit, and this is actually minus 273.15 degrees Celsius. This is called absolute zero temperature. This is very important. What is absolute zero temperature? The absolute zero temperature, it means that till what is the maximum or the lowest temperature we can imagine. We can imagine it, even we cannot reach at this temperature. So this is the lowest temperature ever we can actually think about to reach it, and this is the lowest. And then the Kelvin scale has started from this level. So this amount of Celsius, which is the lowest in case of Celsius, so that is equivalent to 0 Kelvin. And then it's not about, okay, it's 0 Kelvin. So we can say that this is 0 Kelvin. And then you see the temperatures of different scale has made up of some specific standard fixed value. This is the Celsius thermometer. Think about 3 thermometers or 3 scales. This is Celsius, Fahrenheit and Kelvin. And each and every single scale has their own different segments between the lowest to highest. In case of Celsius and Fahrenheit or Kelvin, think about it. If I add here 273.5 degrees Celsius, adding 273, if I add 273.15 in both cases, then we will find what? It will be 0 degrees Celsius and it would be 273.15 Kelvin. So as we know that when in case of Celsius and Kelvin, 0 degrees Celsius is equivalent to 273.15 Kelvin. So when you heard about 0 degrees Celsius, what we feel like? It's very cold. 273.15 Kelvin. When we heard about Kelvin, we also think about this is the same temperature that we are mentioning it. In case the number, that is, it feels like 273.15 Kelvin, it means bigger? No. It means that 0 degrees Celsius, we are actually familiar with the Celsius scale. So 0 degrees Celsius, it means this is the melting point of pure ice, so it's so cold. So this 273.15 Kelvin is also so cold. Similarly, in case of Fahrenheit scale, we can say that this is about 32 degree Fahrenheit. So all these scales is made up of some standard process, and that is the lower fixed point and the higher fixed point or upper fixed point. So we must know that the lower fixed point of Celsius scale is 0 degrees Celsius. Similarly, this is the same amount of temperature in other scale, but the number is changed. In case of Kelvin, we can say that the lower fixed point is 273.15 Kelvin. In case of Fahrenheit scale, the same temperature is at 32 degree Fahrenheit. And think about the upper fixed points. So in case of upper fixed point, the Celsius is 100 degrees Celsius. So similarly, if the changes is that, you see that in case of Kelvin scale, it's more 100. So you can say if you add 273 plus 100, then it will reach to 373.15. So you see that the differences in between Celsius and Kelvin are same, but a little bit change in case of Fahrenheit. The lower fixed points is 32 degree Fahrenheit, but the upper fixed point is 212 degree Fahrenheit, because the segments is in between this upper and lower fixed point in case of Fahrenheit is 180. And these differences is known as fundamental. This is very important. This is fundamental interval of thermometer, and this is means the upper fixed point minus lower fixed point. This is very important. So in case of fundamental interval of thermometer, we know that lower fixed points of Celsius scale is 0. So if I say that the differences between Celsius, the upper fixed point in case of Celsius is 100, right? In case of Kelvin is also 100, but in case of Fahrenheit, the changes is the lower fixed and upper fixed is 180. So in between, the higher fixed or upper fixed point and lower fixed point of Celsius is 100. Here is also 100, but here there are 180 segments in between lower and upper fixed points. So if we say what are the relationships in between these three scales, then we will find an equation like that. What are the equations? So you understand two words that I explained. Number one is absolute zero temperature. So absolute zero temperature is still the lowest value that we can actually imagine for, that is minus 273.15 degrees Celsius, the coolest part. And then another is fundamental interval of thermometer, which is the differences between upper fixed points and lower fixed points. Now we think what are the equations and the relationships in between these scales. In this case, we must know that there is some standard process for establishing the relationship. In case of Celsius, temperature of Celsius, we will express as Tc, that is temperature Celsius, Tk, temperature in Kelvin, Tf, temperature in Fahrenheit. So the equation is temperature divided by lower fixed points, or lower fixed points divided by is fundamental interval of thermometer. This is the equation standard. That in case of Celsius, we can say in case of Celsius, so Tc divided by lower fixed point is 0, and the fixed and the fundamental interval of thermometer is 100 minus 0. So we can say this is 100 minus 0. Similarly, in case of temperature in Kelvin, the lower fixed is 273.15, and we can say this is 373.15 minus 273.15. Similarly, in case of Fahrenheit, it would be same like this, 212 minus 32. And then we will find our equations that this would be Tc and it would be 100, and equal to it would be Tk minus 273.15, again 100, and here Tf minus 32, again 180. Okay, now you think how we can minimize the denominator by applying the multiplication of 20. So if I add more 20 in each cases, we will have times 20 times 20 and times 20. It means that it will reduce by 9, it will reduce by 5, it will reduce by 5. So we are having the simplest formation of this equation like Tc by 5 equal Tk minus 273.15 by 5 equal Tf minus 32 by 9, and these equation will be used in case of finding the value, quantitative value, if the temperature is given Celsius. What about the same in case of Fahrenheit, or in case of Kelvin, or in case of Celsius? So if any value is given as temperature as Celsius, then what is the value of Fahrenheit and Kelvin? So in case of relation, we need to think about the relation among the Celsius, Fahrenheit and Kelvin. This is the equation. So Tc is the temperature in Celsius, Tk Kelvin, and Tf Fahrenheit. So I hope you know that Tc by 5 equal Tk minus 273.15 by 5 equal Tf by Tf minus 32 by 9. Now we need to think about how to use it in case of mathematical problem solutions. So I hope I'm removing it. Okay. So I'm removing it. Think about the relations and what is the equations that we got? We got it like Tc by 5 Tk minus 273.15 divided by 5 again, and Tf minus 32 by 9. Okay, if I get some equations like that, suppose in our body, the body temperature is, suppose a body temperature of a body is 36.5 degrees Celsius. Suppose if this Celsius temperature is the temperature of a human body, if the question is what is the temperature of this equivalent to in degree Fahrenheit or Fahrenheit. So you see that Celsius is given and Fahrenheit was asked. So we need to take these two, forgetting this one, because question is about Celsius and Fahrenheit, not about Kelvin. So we need to pick these two, that temperature in Celsius by 5 is equal to temperature in Fahrenheit minus 32 by 9. Now you think temperature in Celsius is given 36.5. So we can say, okay, 36.5 by 5 equal Tf minus 32 by 9. And the value of Tf right now will be the determinations. Like we can say that 5 Tf minus 32 is equal to the multiplication of 36.5 times 9. So what is the value of Tf? The value of Tf is equal to 36.5 times 9 divided by 5, and this is minus, so it will go there, will be added as 32, and this would be the value. Let's use calculator. So this is 36.5 times 9 divided by 5, which is this, plus 32, which is 97.7. So 97.7 degree Fahrenheit is the value which is equivalent to 36.5 degrees Celsius. Hope you understand. Okay, this is pretty easy. This is actually easy. I think student or those are English Russian Cadet College and whatever you are watching this tutorial, you people are so talented, and this is something should be very easy for you. But if the question is like, if the question is at which temperature the readings in Celsius and Fahrenheit scales are equal. Now I need to find out about Celsius and Fahrenheit. Similarly like this. So in this case, if we say that at which temperature we can say that this Celsius and this Fahrenheit are same. Now we need to find out at which temperature. Now to find it out, as we know that temperature in Celsius and temperature in Kelvin is actually equal, now we can say fine. So let's think about this is Tf is becoming Tc because Tc and Tf are same. So okay, make it Tf in both cases and now find the value of Tf. So we can find this is 9 Tf minus 5 Tf minus 32, or even we can say, okay, we just make it easy, 5TF we can multiply 5TF minus 160. Now you think if I just make it over here, 9TF minus 5TF is equal minus 160. So we can say here 4TF is equal minus 160. So TF is equal minus 160 by 4, which is actually minus 40 degree Fahrenheit. So these minus 40, if I say here minus 40 degree Celsius is equal minus 40 degree Fahrenheit. So in this temperature, both cases are same. Okay? But if the question is in which temperature the Kelvin and Fahrenheit are same, now we need to make it another equations that in which temperature these are same. So the temperature in Kelvin, in which temperature these both will be same. Now we need to find out what temperatures the Kelvin and Fahrenheit are same. So what we need to do, we need to forget Celsius right now. We need to think about only two equations about Fahrenheit and Kelvin. So Tk minus 273.15 divided by 5 is equal Tf minus 32 by 9 is my equation. And right now the question is in which temperature this both temperature will same. So I can find this Tk as my Tf, so the temperature in Fahrenheit, minus 273.15 over 5 even Tf minus 32 by 9. Now I can multiply. So I can say that this is 9 Tf minus, I need calculator. So 273.15 times 9 is actually 2458. So 58? Yes. 58.35 is equal, now I just said it, 5TF minus 160. You just multiply this side, this side. So now I got it. So let it come here. So 9TF minus 5TF, it will be 4TF again. So if it goes there, that part, so it will be this 2458.35 minus 160, no problem. So the TF value would be, so that is the value. I need to make it minus 160, which is this, that should be divided by 4. And the answer is 574. So we can say 574.58. So that is the value, that the temperature in Fahrenheit. So 574.58 Fahrenheit is equal to 574.58 Kelvin. So I hope you understand. And there is nothing critical actually. There is nothing really critical. But if the question is in which temperature the Celsius and Fahrenheit or Celsius or Kelvin will same, there is no temperature where Celsius and Fahrenheit are same. You can find it out. Because as we know that absolute temperature in case of Celsius is minus 273.15, which is equivalent to 0 Kelvin. So usually we will find any temperature where the Celsius and Fahrenheit will be, Celsius and Kelvin will be same. So we get some like in which temperature the Kelvin and Fahrenheit is same, fine. In which temperature Celsius and Fahrenheit is same, Fahrenheit, okay. But in which temperature Kelvin and Celsius is same, we won't find any value. So I hope if any temperature is given in any unit, Celsius, Fahrenheit and Kelvin, you can transfer it into other accounts or other Celsius or other Fahrenheit and Kelvin. So I hope you understand, and if not, of course, this accuracy and feeling of completeness in case of study depends on your practice. So without practice, without thinking with cool brain, and without practicing inside in your heart about what you are studying about, if you don't love your study, things will be mess and somehow you will forget. But whenever you study with joy and completeness and more interesting way so that you will feel better when you study something, that is something a blessing feeling. So I'm requesting you all, in case of study, when you do it your own study, do it from your heart, and if you need anything, do let me know in the comment section so that I can read your vibrations, I can have your feedback, and I can arrange my next classes based on your requirements. So see you on the next class. Take care, stay well, bye.